Today we're going to dive into a pretty profound promise from an ancient scripture. It's a promise that's all about helping us navigate, the toughest parts of life.
But let me just start with a question for you. Have you ever felt completely, totally stuck? I mean, where you're trying so hard to move forward, but it feels like something is just holding you back, weighing you down, and you just can't seem to shake it.
Well, if you have, you are definitely not alone. Thousands of years ago, this exact feeling was described with this really powerful metaphor. It's like you're carrying a heavy stone down a muddy path. The weight of the stone makes you sink, and the mud just grabs at your feet with every single step. Progress feels, well, pretty much impossible. This is the weight we're going to talk about.
So what is this muddy path, really? Well, the source material we're looking at frames it as the human condition itself, that shared struggle we all face, and the patterns that really keep us stuck in the mud.
According to this ancient text, just being human means our own thoughts, our own actions can become these heavy burdens. We get caught up in habits, right? Repeating the same patterns over and over, and each time we just sink a little bit deeper. And even when we have the best intentions, it is so easy to lose our way. Especially when you run into negativity from the outside world that just adds even more weight to that stone you're carrying.
But here's the thing. This isn't just an explainer about the problem. It's about a truly radical solution, a pretty extraordinary response to all of this suffering.
So seeing all this struggle, this figure known as Kṣitigarbha, who is a bodhisattva, basically an enlightened being who puts off their own nirvana to help everyone else, makes this incredible vow. And what's really crucial here is that this promise isn't made out of some sense of duty. The scriptures actually say Kṣitigarbha was weeping, making this vow from a place of just deep, genuine, heartfelt compassion for every single person stuck on that muddy path.
And the scale of this vow, it is almost impossible for our brains to even wrap around. Kṣitigarbha promises to show up in countless forms, across a number of worlds so big I don't even know how to say it, all to help guide anyone and everyone who is struggling.
But here's the most beautiful part. Even though the scale is cosmic, the vow itself is so personal. Kṣitigarbha promises that even if your good intention is as small as a single strand of hair, that's enough. That tiny little spark is all it takes for this immense, compassionate force to find you and help you out.
This vow was such a big deal that the Buddha himself is said to have heard it and praised it, saying, "Excellent, excellent." That endorsement really underscores just how powerful and important this promise was, and is considered to be.
Okay, so we've got this huge cosmic promise. That's amazing. But how does that actually help us, right here, right now, on our own muddy path? Well, this next part brings it all down to a really personal level.
It's a totally fair question. How does a promise made eons ago by some celestial being have any practical meaning for you and me? Well, the answer lies in this idea of a spiritual guide. The scripture uses this Korean term sonjishik, which means spiritual guide, and this totally reframes what we might think a spiritual master is. It's not some distant, perfect figure up on a pedestal that you have to obey. No, it's a strong, compassionate friend who actually meets you on the path, sees you struggling with that heavy stone, and says, "Hey, let me help you carry that."
So how does this guide help? The text points to this really powerful idea of substitutory suffering. This means the guide doesn't just shout advice from the sidelines. No, they get right down in the mud with you. You can think of it like a good friend who just listens to you vent. They're not solving your problem, but by taking on some of that emotional weight, they give you the space to breathe and to finally see a clear path forward.
Let's go back to our metaphor. This is what that help looks like in practice. The guide might take some of the weight of your stone, or maybe even carry the whole thing for a little while. They give you a shoulder to lean on so you can find your balance. They help guide you out of that thick mud and onto solid, level ground. And once you're safe, they point back and say, "See that? That's the dangerous part. Let's make sure you don't wander back in there."
Now, this is all incredibly hopeful, but I get it. It can still feel a little abstract. So how do we actually invite this kind of help into our lives? This last section is all about the how. It's the practical guide to actually walking lighter.
What's so empowering about this teaching is that it's not a passive thing. We don't just sit back and wait for a rescue. The text gives us clear, simple ways that we can actively participate in our own journey out of the mud.
The source material really boils this whole practice down into 3 pretty straightforward, actionable steps. So let's walk through them real quick. Okay, first, you just remember the vow.
That's it. By consciously, regularly bringing this huge, compassionate intention to mind, you're kind of doing something similar to what we now call neuroplasticity. You are literally carving new, more positive pathways in your brain, and that helps break the grip of those old, muddy habits.
Step 2 is so important. Extend loving kindness. And you have to start with yourself. This can be the hardest part, right? Being compassionate with ourselves. We often feel like we don't deserve help. But what this teaching says is that by forgiving yourself, by offering yourself that same kindness, you open up a space inside. You kind of clear the ground. And that makes it possible to actually accept the help that's being offered.
And finally, make it practical. Take that giant cosmic vow and just shrink it down to something you can do today. You don't have to save 1 trillion worlds. Just make a small vow. For instance, today I'm going to be the Bodhisattva smile for everyone I meet. Suddenly, you go from someone waiting for help to being a small reflection of that compassionate energy out in the world.
At the end of the day, this whole practice is about embodying the very quality you're looking for. It's about deciding, in your own small way, you know what, I'm going to be the one who lightens the load, for yourself and for the people around you.
So we end up right back where we started, but with a totally new perspective. The story of this vow, it isn't just about receiving help. It's an invitation to become help. It's a reminder that even the smallest act of kindness matters a lot. The vow was a promise to be a helping hand. So the real question this whole thing leaves us with is this: whose burden can you help lighten today?